I'm not a fan of hourly because it kind of brings this scrutiny of what is your hourly rate and am I getting value for money and what are you spending your time doing? So when it comes to sort of charging, depending on the type of work is probably how I would approach the pricing. If you're doing something which, is probably small and can be easily kind of quantified, let me think. So like writing copy, and you can maybe price a number of words or hourly, or it could be like editing. I mean, most projects will come down to you can charge hourly for them. I'm not a fan of hourly because it kind of brings this scrutiny of what is your hourly rate and am I getting value for money and what are you spending your time doing? So I always prefer to move that into like a project rate, because then if we agree on what the rate is for that project and the deadline of when it's got to be delivered, that means I can manage my time better. And that allows me actually, to be honest, the freedom to deliver a better service. So it covers me and the client. Let me explain. So if I do my job properly, I will always finish ahead of the deadline. And it's a really nice surprise for the client if I say, look, I've actually finished early. Would you like to see the work? They're going to love that. So if I'm able to schedule in, say, if I think it will take me 2 weeks, but I give the deadline as 3 weeks, I schedule in this like kind of extra buffer. And what that does is when it comes to kind of like the project and managing your time, if anything goes wrong, such as you get ill or you are working with someone and they get ill or they go on holiday or something goes wrong or you do a design and your MacBook breaks, having that kind of extra buffer, that buys me time to find a replacement or recover or even finish the project early and for me to have a break myself and recuperate. I completely don't upset the client by doing that. They're expecting it in 3 weeks. I can manage my time in that 3 weeks to do what I want. And that, protects me and keeps them happy. Now, if you agree to a project rate for that, that seems to work fine. When it comes to getting paid, it depends on the size of the job. Most people would say, well, it's 50% upfront, 50% on completion. If you're doing a big job, that might be unrealistic to say, expect 10 grand upfront and 10 grand on completion. So it depends on the size of the job and how long it's going for. The two things to look out for is to make sure you're getting regular cash in. So you've got a cash flow system where you're not being left, hung out to dry if the client's slow in paying, and that you're hitting milestones so they kind of feel comfortable that they're paying for sort of work as it's going. So I would say that if you could break down the project into milestones and then, basically choose how much money each milestone is worth, regardless of how you do it. I'd always get a 25% deposit once you sign the contract and you don't do any work until the contract is signed and you've been paid. Then you get another, say, 25% when the project starts. And then the remaining kind of 50% is spread out over milestones with the final payment due first, then you hand over the files. The goal is to make sure that you're always able to hold on to something so that you don't hand it all over and then try and get payment, because that's always messy. If the client doesn't have to pay you and you haven't vetted them, they won't. Like I said, you want to get a deposit to lock it in so they make sure they're serious and they book out your time. You would then want to make sure you're getting regular cash flow throughout the project, so that whether that's in 25% chunks or whatever. But then, like I said, the big thing is to kind of, if you price as a project rate, then that's easier to go with. So that would be my advice, is try and get it down to a project rate instead of going on hourly, because it's very hard to move on hourly.